Hi, I'm Poppy Askham, and you're watching the Reykjavik Grapevine Newscast. Sorry, bit of a mouthful. I am in Snap's restaurant tonight because we've been very kindly invited here, and I thought what better chance to show you what dining in Iceland looks like in the COVID-19 era than bringing you along with me. Last time we talked, we were talking about the new restrictions, and this is the result of the new restrictions. So staff have to wear masks, and their tables are 2 meters away. Hi.
May I take your order?
Yes, of course. What would you recommend?
So we have a signature dish, it's a confit de canal, and the fish of the day today is wonderful.
Oh, well, in that case, I am pescatarian, so I will go for fish of the day.
All right, excellent.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, back to the news. So yes, as you can see, the restaurant is set up. It reduced the capacity a bit, but all the diners will be able to keep 2 meters away because we're in the midst of a second wave, so needs must. Anyway, as I was saying, with the new restrictions, they were brought in because of this new wave and because this big bank holiday Merchants Weekend was coming up. It was a much quieter affair than usual. All the festivals were cancelled, lots of, in town even, it was much quieter. Merchants Weekend has actually been celebrated since like 1894, beg your pardon. And this was probably one of the quietest years for a very long time. It was quite odd. The president was sworn in over the weekend, but again, it was a very socially distanced event, not many no crowd whatsoever, mainly just media and the president. And yeah, hopefully we'll see that the restrictions over the weekend have had a good impact, but the numbers at the minute are rising, as you'd expect. There are currently 91 in isolation, 746 in quarantine, and so 91 is the number from today. It was 83 yesterday, so that is an eight people rise overnight, and the current domestic infection rate per 100,000 over 14 days is 21.0, which is quite interesting because that actually means Iceland, by its own definition, is a risk country now. If you're over 10 infections per 100,000, you're considered a risk country by Iceland. So that has also meant that lots of countries will now be bringing in travel restrictions against Iceland. So I know that Estonia and Latvia, Iceland has already got an infection rate too high for Icelanders to be allowed to travel to those countries. There's still a question mark over Norway at this point. It's even risen higher than the UK. So yes, I thought I was safer in Iceland, maybe not. But yeah, numbers are still rising as you would expect, but it's hoped that the measures will curb this current spread. Interestingly, there was widespread testing in Akrones, which is where one of the group infections was, and over 600 people were screened by Decode, and not a single one of them came out positive. So that's a hopeful sign. It's not spreading in Akrones, at least. 67, I think, out of the 91 cases are in the greater Reykjavik area, which is Akrones in it. So yeah, this is, of course, the hub of the COVID spread. But yeah, Decode has been doing this sort of testing areas kind of randomly, but it's going to be swapping and doing targeted testing along with the health service. So sort of looking at individuals that are more likely to have it, perhaps individuals in quarantine. So that's a new approach. There are still people arriving in the country. There are still tourists. In fact, there have been 111,000 people arriving in Iceland since June 15th. and 71,000 have been tested. Yesterday there were 2,500 arrivals and 11,100 tested. So there are certain countries which still don't have to test when they come, which is why the number of testing is lower than the number of arrivals. Very controversial, But to date, there has only been 27 infections. Interestingly, the people coming to the country have been Icelanders first and foremost, and then Germans and Danish people. So those are the kind of tourists that are coming. I'm pretty sure Denmark and Germany don't have to test. But the numbers have been quite high, which has really tested the testing capacity. They're really trying to boost it, but there's a huge waiting list for the equipment needed for that. So it is a problem, lots of people wanting to come, not enough testing capacity. The other thing to mention with the new restrictions is that there was a bit of a controversy over masks. So first of all, they said in public spaces you'd have to wear masks, including public transport. Then the epidemiologist said we have a different definition of public transport, or basically this doesn't apply to buses. Then Strætó, the bus service, said no, it does apply to buses. Everyone's going to have to start wearing masks on Friday, so everyone started wearing masks on Friday. But now there's been another U-turn, and you only have to wear a mask if you are travelling for longer than 30 minutes. That came out, I think, yesterday. That was official health advice. So a bit of a confusing situation. There are questions about whether there are enough masks in the country, for example. Lots of people have been bulk buying, and it has been, as we've seen everywhere in the world, causing issues with supply and demand, especially with these measures brought in so quickly. The other thing, I've seen in a couple of comments, people asking about Björk, and her concerts have been moved to September. She was going to have some in Harper, I think this weekend actually, and those have been moved. So if you had tickets to that or were watching the live stream, I'm sure they will be in contact soon. The other thing to mention is swimming pools are still open, but again, a new rule that came in several days after the big lot of restrictions. They can only operate at half capacity, but Icelanders can still go to their pools, because that was one of the most upsetting things about the first wave. In comparison to the first wave, this wave seems to be a lot younger. People are less ill. In fact, we had one person in hospital, but they have been discharged, I'm happy to say. So it doesn't appear as serious, but the numbers are rising at the same kind of rate as they did in March. Okay, so that is all the COVID news. On to some other stuff. So this has actually been the coldest July for one of the coldest Julys in 20 years. Average temperature 10.7 degrees Celsius, so big grim. Not gonna lie, haven't enjoyed it that much in terms of weather. So that's 1.3 degrees down from the average over the last 10 years. And in fact, it got to -2 in one point in the country in Grimstaðir. Sorry pronunciation, I say it every time. There's also been loads and loads of rain. Me and Art went on a hike, which you'll have to look at our next issue to hear about. And we got soaked this morning, absolutely soaked through. I don't think I've ever been that wet. But that's caused mudslides down in the southeast on Route 1, so it's been closed near Djúpivogur. I feel like I'm always talking about the weather. There was also a massive power outage this morning up in the north, and Akureyri Hospital actually had to go on to its backup energy supply. Apparently it was human error, but it's all being fixed at the minute. I think they've got power back, so that's good. And then finally, on a more somber note, the foreign minister has been one of the countries to pledge aid to Lebanon if they wish to take it up. We just want to take the opportunity to say, if we do have any Lebanese watchers, our thoughts are with you. Truly terrible situation. And yes, we are really thinking of you all right now. We will be keeping you up to date with the second wave here in Iceland. Keep watching, like and subscribe if you like our newscasts, and head to our website where we've got plenty more in-depth coverage And we actually have our next issue coming out next week, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. The High Five Club is still there, and yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you. Wonderful. Oh, that looks amazing.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Well, I will leave you to it. My food has arrived. I can confirm, delicious.